il nostro primo ospite veramente non ha bisogno di presentazioni, assolutamente. Siamo contentissimi di averlo qua, siamo contentissimi di averlo in questa sede molto bella, alla nostra seconda edizione da soli. Abbiamo praticamente il responsabile, abbiamo portato qui il responsabile del nostro essere insieme da molti anni. Ringrazio Andrea per aver curato il contatto che poi ci ha permesso di avere Martin qua, che è stato preziosissimo come sempre, grazie davvero tanto. Solo 2 parole, siamo stati fortunati tra l'altro ad averlo, ci ho parlato qualche minuto fa, è il 7° paese di fila che visita, immagino per lo stesso motivo, quindi l'aver piazzato il MoodleMoot in questa finestra forse alla fine si è rivelato particolarmente fortunato come circostanza, per cui è veramente con grande piacere che introduco Martin. So it's a real pleasure for me to introduce Martin Dougiamas, which is the CEO and founder of Moodle. Please. Thank you very much.
Well, buongiorno, hello. It's very much a pleasure to be back in Italy and to see some friendly faces. We worked. I only realized last night it's been 10 years since I've been in Italy. I can't believe this because with Moodle, I'm traveling around the world continuously. I'm in a lot of places, and sometimes I repeat places a lot. But for some reason, I'm always going over Italy, from usually Dubai to Barcelona. I'm coming over, so it's too long. I'll be back here much sooner than that next time, I promise. What's happening here with the? Let's see if we can get this working here. Somebody got the screen controls? Somebody want to operate this? I'm not allowed to touch it apparently. You see, that's why. Hey, well, it's very low resolution. Let's see, I'll try and fix it. Technical. Here we go. That's better. Let's hope the internet works. Okay, so I have 50 minutes. I'm going to have to be quick because I have a lot. The Moodle world is very, very busy. So first, look, just a little bit about me. I come from the centre of Australia in the desert, and that's what it looked like where I lived. That was the village where I lived. I grew up with the Australian Aboriginals in this very small community, and my school was on the radio. I did a School of the Air, it's called. So shortwave radio, bouncing off the atmosphere, 1,000 kilometres to my teacher. 3 days in a car, because it's dirt roads to get there. And I had pet kangaroos. I had, these are some of my friends. This was my homework, would arrive in a little plane every 2 weeks. That was the only way we had homework. My classroom is about the size of Spain. That's the size of this classroom. So I now live in Perth, which is down on the coast, but next year I'm moving to Barcelona. I'll tell you why in a minute. But in Perth, I ended up at a university, and that's where Moodle started. I was at a university building tools for the academics. And it's because I think afterwards I realized I was already very familiar with distance education, even from the 70s. So now Moodle looks something like this. We have the Moodle Australia is the main company, but we now have a Moodle Spain, and we have a Moodle US subsidiary. We have about 80 partners, and together with all the community developers, we are the ones who are making Moodle. And we have many, many Moodle users, an increasing number. This is where the main Moodle office, the people from Moodle headquarters are. You can see a lot in Australia, but now we have a big office in Barcelona. And some of the team. We have about 20 people in Barcelona in a beautiful office. A lot of people are working sometimes from home, sometimes in the office. A lot of people are visiting Barcelona and coming to the office, and it's becoming a Moodle sort of a hangout place. So if you're ever in Barcelona, you want to visit, feel free. You know, we have monitors, coffee, beer. You can come and, join us. So the mission of Moodle is very specifically about empowering educators to improve our world. We are not a company that tries to teach students directly, like many Silicon Valley projects will do. We're not an app that's going to teach students. We don't say, education is not very good. Here is a technology solution. Here is an app. We believe in supporting existing education structures. And what we're trying to build is a platform for learning, the most effective platform. And this is not just Moodle the LMS, not just Moodle the system that most of you are talking about. We have a lot of other things around that. In the last couple of years, these 17 goals, has anybody never seen this before? This is new to anybody? Yeah, it's new. So this is from the UN, the 17 sustainable goals. And they had a very large consultative process to select the 17 things that we need to be working on to make the planet sustainable. Not even great, just sustainable. So these are the big problems, right? Things like poverty, hunger, gender equality, and other inequalities, and things like that. Obviously, climate change. These are very major. I think basically, if you aren't doing something that's aligned with solving one of these problems, then maybe you should rethink what you're doing, because, and a lot of you here are in education, and number 4 is quality education. But if we're not solving these problems, then we're doing actually damage to ourselves and to the planet. So if Moodle is an education platform, and this is the big goal, a lot of my thinking lately is how can we support these goals with Moodle, with the people who use it. Sorry, I have a cold. And the main thing is quality education. This is the situation that the Moodle platform now has. It's been consistently growing for 16 years. We have 106,000 registered sites with 144 million users. Italy is number 8 in the world for the number of registered sites. If you haven't registered, please press the registration button. Most people don't register. There was a picture up there. I don't know what happened to the slide, but it's a picture of Italy as the centre of the world. If you look at this, it's what I like about it is it's not English or Anglo-centric. It's very international. And I travel a lot. I wish I could speak more languages. But the amount of Moodle use in some countries, like in South America, can be 100%. If you look at the statistics in a university, in higher education, they look like this. In Africa, it's very, very high. South America, very high. Asia, Europe, still very high. And so the overall average is around 60% of all higher education in the world is using Moodle from this study, which was about three months ago. So we're in a very interesting position with Moodle as a platform. If we really believe in quality education towards higher goals, what can we do as a project, as a community? What can we do to really make some effect? It's very important that when you're planning to really think about your values. What are the values? These are the 5 values of the Moodle project. Usually values are something on a company website, maybe not in Italy, but definitely in the US. They are one little page on a website somewhere about us, and then you find the values down and very low. For me, they're central. They're very, very important. So I want to explain these 5 values. So first of all, education. Everything we do in the Moodle project is an education opportunity. Every time we're speaking, we're having a conversation with somebody, you're fixing something, it's always an opportunity for education. Every time. Fixing a bug, anything. And the reason why we are all educating each other is because we want to create an environment of people who are like this, who are globally oriented, multiculturally aware, environmentalists, caring, and citizens. People who, when they see a problem, can think, how can I help to fix that? What is my role to fix that thing? What action can I take? And that can operate at the level of an office or in a project, but also in the world. That's the only thing really that's going to fix issues. Number 2, Moodle is about openness. We are obviously open source code, but we try and be open. We run as a proper open source project. We're not pretend open source where, yes, you can get our code. We have a very large machine of people. I met Matteo over here. This guy is so active on the Moodle tracker. Everyone at Moodle HQ knows him very well just from his name. And that's just as an example. There are people who are helping build Moodle in all different ways. And that's because it's an open project. We have open processes. Anybody can get involved and be free and inclusive. But I want to talk about why should information infrastructure be open? Can we ask our governments to build open infrastructure? Sometimes yes, but sometimes governments are really focused on the next election. They have 2-year cycles, 3-year cycles. I know Italy is very famous for a lot of changes in government. So is Australia. Australia is now called the Italy of the Pacific. I think we had 5 or 6 prime ministers in the last 5 years or something. It's just, very chaotic. And in this chaos, no one is thinking, where should education be in 50 years? They haven't got time. They're not building these things, and they're not thinking open either. Mostly they're being lobbied by large, big commercial companies, Microsofts and Googles are talking to them about infrastructure instead. Speaking of which, can we rely on them to build the infrastructure of the future? Do we want everything to be Microsoft or Google or Facebook? Probably not, because if they're focused on profits, if they're thinking about extra money, so not the money to make the infrastructure, but the extra money which goes into someone's pockets, which goes to, people who were already rich, that's not a good thing. The decisions that people make are not for the people, they're for the profits. And that's, again and again, we see that these sort of companies, they're operating, they're not thinking 50 years, they're thinking, my investment, I want to get it back in 2 years. And if the company disappears, nobody cares. There's always more companies. But the infrastructure is gone, you've lost the software. NGOs building the future. Now, I'm spending a lot of time with NGOs lately. They're all using Moodle. So I'm talking a lot now with the World Bank, with UNESCO, with all the many organizations, Save the Children, World Vision, Doctors Without Borders, all these things, right? So they're all using Moodle. A lot of them are using Moodle in projects. I discovered, a lady came up to me, I was in Rwanda in Africa, and she says, "I'm your biggest fan." And I said, "Oh, hello. Who are you?" And she says, I lead the e-learning division in the World Bank. And we've been using Moodle for 10 years. Every project that they do when they make a loan to a country, usually it's a loan, they want their money back, it's a bank, right? But it's a development bank. So they work hard to make the project be a success and be able to pay back the loan. And to make it a success, there's always an education component. And because there's education, they just use Moodle. But nobody called us. No one said, "Hey, Moodle," no one talked to us. It's open, they just took it, they used it. And now I find out this year. Now that's cool, that's great. And they're building a lot of infrastructure, but they're not connected back to the organization that's making the software. They're not really building infrastructure, they're building projects, individual projects. And they're very project focused, whereas I think we need more than that. That's not enough. Standards bodies, including universities, I think, are standards the way we build infrastructure? Well, you get a long way. I mean, look, all these lights, right? They have standard fittings. You can screw them in. The electricity all works. You can plug your phone in. I travel around the world. My electricity always works. That's pretty cool. We've built a terrific infrastructure for power, for water, for roads, for airports, for passports. We have some things. In education, not so much. It's a bit more high level. And there are some good standards in education, but again, they're not. Just because you define the shape of the screw doesn't mean you've got all the factories building light globes and all the people to make the stuff. So that's not enough either. So there's a huge thing. We need open technology. We need open technology in education. So what that means is you can customize it, you can localize it, you can choose your service provider. You don't have to go to one company only to get your service if you need help. It has to have a sustainability model. It has to be sustainable. It's not a project. It's not just profits. It's about a sustainable organism. And it will not disappear, even if the company disappears. If Moodle headquarters disappears, Moodle can continue. The community will find a way to keep it going. And they have no restrictions. They have all the code, they have all the processes, they have everything needed. And lastly, standards are very important. So open technology should support standards. It can also set standards. It can create standards because it can just be everywhere. Once you have 60% of the higher education using one platform, it becomes a sort of standard. And if you look at the internet, all of these tools, all the things that make web servers, all of the things that drive the capitalist technology industry is based on open source. Amazon Web Services is all Linux and open source software, and so are all the other cloud providers. So are the Facebooks and Twitter and so on. But we've got to think about long-term sustainability, so really for the long term. And in Moodle, our Moodle partner network is the main sustainability for the project. We have about 80 partners. Of course, we have Media Touch, Andrea and Emmanuel here. Media Touch is the partner in Italy. There is a lot of money floating around the Moodle economy. I just talked about the World Bank. Can you imagine how much money they spent on Moodle-based projects over the years? None of that came back to Moodle development. Well, maybe a little bit. I think they used a Moodle partner once. I found out. But if enough people are using Moodle partners, then some percentage comes back and makes the open technology better. We also now have premium integrators. So these are other software that we integrate with. So we have Big Blue Button, IntelliBoard, and a new one just added Bongo, which is a kind of video assessment. You're going to be seeing a lot more of these coming. We're going to have a lot of other organizations that we work with, and we really want to prioritize the open technology ones. So I hope you can see my view on all these pieces and how they come together, that sustainable open software is the best solution. And if you're building a new project, if you're building a new university, this is the sort of thing you need to be thinking about. I better go a bit faster. Number 3, respect. It's very important. Respect is what drives an open source project. If we respect each other, things work better. And it works better everywhere. So even competitors and everybody. We promote integrity. So integrity is just real honesty. Honesty with yourself about what you do and what you do in private, what you do in public. Being fair, and when you say you're going to do something, do it. Simple. You all know what integrity is. And lastly, our project has a value of innovation. So we try and build things that let other people innovate. We build platforms, we build APIs, we build components, we build modules, we build systems and frameworks, and then other people innovate on top. And the innovations that come out of the community are much, much more than we could ever afford to pay for because of this innovation value. So if you look at the Moodle plugins database, there are over 1,500 plugins in there by 850 developers plus. And these plugins have significant, some of them are very significant. You know, there is one example in there is something called Student Quiz. So it's like the normal quiz, but the students make the questions. They try each other's questions. It's like a game, and they rate the questions, and the best questions come up to the top. And now the teacher has a database of really good quiz questions, and the students learnt a lot. So this is a complex activity, and that's one plugin, and there are many, many more. So that's the values of the project, right? These are fixed; they don't change. These is, Moodle will be following these for a long time. And if you look at our mission, why we talk about educators is because we respect educators. We want them to innovate. We want them to innovate locally. And that's why we operate like this. Very quickly, I want to go through, we have 8 goals. At the beginning of this year, Moodle headquarters, my company, we had a process. We looked at all the things we're doing, and we had a strategy week. And we narrowed down to 8 goals. There's 8 things we're trying to do with Moodle. So we're trying to, number 1, improve the quality of teaching practice. Quality teaching, it's the SDG goal number 4. But we need to measure that. We need to be specific about it. What is quality in education? Let's all focus on that. So that's one thing, and a lot of the new initiatives are about that. Number 2, we really want to increase our reach worldwide. That means being more multilingual. A lot of the development world of Moodle is in English, to be practical. But all of our communications have to be in Italian, in French, in Spanish, in Chinese, in Mandarin, in Arabic. They need to be, right? So this is our goal, to be very, make sure that everybody can participate. Number 3, we want Moodle to be a great place to work. We want people to come and want to work for Moodle because it's a great company. And so that's a lot of internal culture stuff. And we've spent all year internally doing a lot of work on building new systems for improving the culture of the organisation. I think it was already pretty good, but we could always be better and better. We want to maximize connections. We want more of these events. We want people to meet each other, to talk, to find connections worldwide. We want Moodle, all the Moodle products, to have the features people want. If it's Moodle versus Canvas versus Blackboard versus whatever, if somebody's making a choice, they shouldn't only say, oh, Moodle's better because it's an open project. That shouldn't be the reason. The reason should be, wow, look at the features. It has the best features. And it's open, right? That way, most people will choose it. It's super cheap and super good, right? It's the win. And so because of that, I haven't got time to talk about it. We have a whole lot of new roadmap processes for how we are developing the features that are necessary. We're improving how we do services. So we're improving things like Moodle Cloud. We're improving support for the Moodle partners. We're operating more globally, and we have also, for the small projects and for the very large projects, we're putting in place people to look after those. We're also getting a bit better, I think, at marketing, and our focus is on just telling people what we do, just explaining what is Moodle, what is our project, what does it offer. And so we have a new marketing team, and you'll see Moodle getting better in this area. And the whole goal, our final goal, is we want to be sustainable at a much higher level. The Moodle team currently in the Moodle headquarters is 80 people. And if you add up all the partners, it's something like 2,500 people. And there's about 10,000 people who are active in the community. And then there's millions of users going out after that. The middle here, I would love to see couple more hundred people working on the code. We need a few more hundred people to really be very strong and competitive. So that's our goals. All right, I want to just talk about 5 highlights of projects that we're working on that are related to all of that background. So number 1, we just released Moodle 3.6 recently, last week, I think. Last week? Week before? Last week. Gosh. This is this is a long trip. I've been traveling a lot. This is the 7th country in one trip. Nearly 4 weeks. So I'll show you a few screenshots about Moodle 3.6. So we now have a group messaging. So groups are added to the message. You can have messaging. And there's a new messaging interface that pops out, and it's designed to look and feel very similar to WhatsApp or Telegram or Facebook Messenger or WeChat or whatever you're using for your messaging. Because if you think about it, all of us, we're spending probably at least half our time on these things in messaging apps, right? Would you agree? At least. And actually, messaging is how you start discovering the internet. Somebody goes, oh, look at this video, and you see a thumbnail of the video, and you go and now you're consuming some content. So this kind of social use of messaging it's what we're all doing. Moodle can do it in an educational way. The Moodle messaging, instead of saying, oh, here's a video on YouTube, you could say, oh, here's an activity, here's a choice. Activity, you need to make a choice. And it could pop up in messaging and say, oh, you can do it right there in the messaging. Click. Or you go off into Moodle. So we can tie all the Moodle activities together through group messaging. That's where we're going. Right now, it's just plain messaging. It works well. It works a lot better than it used to, and especially with the groups. So there's a lot of features. You can star particular discussions. You can block users, you can have contacts and all of that. So there's privacy features, because some institutions don't like students messaging each other, but there's a lot of things you can implement to make it just what you need. So perhaps you only talk with students who are in your class, things like that. So the other new thing in 3.6 is the new dashboard. It's much more attractive. It's more useful. All the functionality has been broken up into blocks, and you can now choose on your dashboard, you can choose all the functionality and lay it out how you like. So this is one view of some courses, but you can also choose that view. Maybe you have a lot of courses, so you want a more compact view. And this is even another one, a summary view. Again, you have the students and teachers have more control over where you lay out the courses. So maybe there's some ones you want to star them and make them stand out. You can also choose to only look at courses that are happening now or in the future or in the past. Or ones you can also hide courses and just keep them hidden. There's another block that just shows the starred courses. So maybe you're in 100 courses, but there's only 3 you actually want to access. So you can go star, 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 and get rid of the main block and just show this block. And now you've redesigned your own course interface. There's also another block that shows recently accessed courses, so ones you've been in recently. And this makes it a lot quicker to go back to this week you're obviously focused on this area. And even more, there's another one that shows recently accessed items. So maybe you're working in one assignment all week, so this will always be at the top and you can quickly go to the assignment. Over there on the side also you see the timeline is improved as well. So these are the things that are coming up, the dates that you need to attack. We've improved the audio and video feedback in assignments. You can now make feedback in assignments and it goes into the gradebook as well. And you just do it in the browser, okay? You need no special, you don't have to upload anything, you just go record and you go, your assignment was terrific. They have more rules on GDPR, but Carlo's going to explain that tomorrow morning. Where is he? Somewhere here? Over there, where he's at the back. I'm not going to show all this because there's a lot of improvements with the privacy stuff. Wow, there was a lot of screenshots about that. Sorry, Carlo. We have a new integration with Nextcloud. So Nextcloud is a nice open source project that implements a kind of a Google Drive or Office 365 in open source. This is the project I'm putting my money on as like the most likely to be the successful open version of those. So have a look at it. And this is just the first integration. The integration will get better and better. We also implemented Open Badges 2.0. So there's some extra features on badges. So then we now support that standard. You've got like endorsements and you can map it to competencies. There's a new feature called freezing. It's still in the development area, it's a switch. But basically, anywhere in the Moodle interface, you can freeze. So it make it read only. You freeze a course, nobody can change the course. They can still see the course. They can read all the forums, they can look at all the activities, but they can't change anything. And it's useful to archive. If you want to archive a course for some years, you don't want anybody touching it, you can freeze it. But you can freeze a category of courses, or you can freeze one activity. Like at any level, there's a freeze switch. So it's quite useful for lots of scenarios, I think, particularly in universities. The reason why it's still in the development settings is because some of the capabilities in Moodle that make up the role, some of them still need to be fixed. Some of them are not 100%. So, especially in third-party plugins, so we're still fixing those. So the next thing we're working on is 3.7, and we have it's not defined yet. In fact, it will be nailed next week. No, don't take photos of it yet. It's not final. But so I now have a new chief product officer. Her name is Gry Steen. She's a Norwegian lady. She's in her 50s, very experienced woman, has had a lot of experience with product management in the past, and she's now managing the roadmap process, and I'm very, very happy to have her. So the process is happening next week. But some of the things we're looking at, I just wanted you to be aware of, are some standards, improvements to the Boost theme, which is now... Is anybody here do Moodle themes? Theme work? Any designers? No? Not so much? A couple of you? Well, if you're doing any design work, just use Bootstrap 4. Just use Bootstrap. Don't use anything else. It's like 100% Bootstrap now for forever. And there's some improvements to Boost, navigation improvements that are happening. We are looking at H5P integration into Core. Actually bringing H5P into Moodle. Is anybody using H5P? We got anybody using it? One or two? It gives you very nice interactive content. For example, you can have a YouTube video that plays for 10 seconds and then the video stops and then a question comes up and the student has to answer a question and then it continues, and these sort of interactive media content. It's another open source project. There is an integration with Moodle already, but it's not very good. So we want to integrate it better. All right, second thing I want to talk about is the Moodle app. Who's using the Moodle app at their university? Anybody? Some of you? Okay, about half. So, how many people here are from universities, actually? All of you? Half again? How many people are from corporate, sort of workplace, training? You're everywhere, I can see. Okay. Schools? Anybody from younger schools? Yeah? Okay. So the app is very good for all of them. The app is looking very good now too, and it's a free app. All platforms. One of the best things that it does is that you can download whole courses from the website onto the device, and you can use them offline. This is good in every country. It's especially good in places with bad internet, like Australia and so on, but Africa, India, obvious ones, right? But everywhere. I mean, we all have bad internet at some time. We're going through a tunnel, we're on a train, we're in another country on roaming or something. It helps. The other big feature, of course, is the notifications. So if you set up your Moodle correctly, you get notifications coming to students. It's much more, you connect them with the learning process better. So it's free, and it's looking really good. It's a really nice way to use Moodle. Since last year, the functionality of this is 100%. So for students just need the app. They don't need to go to the website at all. If you have added plugins on your Moodle, there is a new way, since 6 months ago, where you can now make a mobile interface for that plugin really quite easily, relatively easily. So if you have special plugins, then they can also be on the app as well, offline, and have all the features. So it's a really good thing. There is a version of the app for desktop. So on Mac, Windows, Linux, you can run an app on the computer. And that's pretty cool. It downloads all the courses onto your computer, and you can just do stuff. You can write forums, posts, you can do assignments, you can do SCORM activities, everything. And when you have internet, it all synchronizes back. If you want a custom version, a branded version of the app, we can make you that. We can make one for you. It's a service we now have, and we have a lot of universities and companies and non-profit organizations already doing this. We if you're at this university, you can have an app with the name of this university, with the logo of this university in the App Store, and that's what students download. And they just log in, username and password, it connects straight away. So if you're interested, come to Moodle.com. MoodleNet. Now this is probably one of the most exciting things for me. It's a whole new project, is MoodleNet. So what we're building is a social network. We're building a way to connect all of the Moodle users, all of the Moodle sites, to connect them together. And there's two main reasons why you would want to do that. Teachers, we want them to be doing quality courses. We want them to be having quality experiences. That means professional development. Not everybody who is a teacher using Moodle has experience, has the content they need, has all of the things they're required. So what we're doing is, imagine if your Moodle site, you're looking at a blank Moodle screen, and on the side it says, need some help? Come to MoodleNet. So you go into there, and you have to sign in. So I'm new, so I'm going to make a new account. Now the account is something that's on that particular MoodleNet site, and it's got my name, and if I want, I can make my fake names. What kind of teacher am I? What subject am I teaching? What level? What language? Etc. And then it says, hey, here are some other people in groups already that are teaching the same thing. So you want to join them. So you're joining those groups. Now, in those groups, they can just have discussions, just like LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter. But the main activity is curating content. So a teacher goes, when I'm teaching this subject, I like to use this YouTube video. I only use the first 10 minutes. The rest is not useful. Just the first 10 minutes of this video is good. So they can now link that into MoodleNet as a collection for this subject. And this builds up. It can be things from the internet. It can be Moodle activities, Moodle backups, whole courses even, because you can push them into those groups. It doesn't have to be, though. It can be anything. So for that new teacher who come in there for the first time, oh, wow, I have everything I need, right? I have a lot of resources that's already found for me. Maybe it's a whole course, maybe it's some pieces. And that's the idea. They click, now it's in their Moodle site. And then they can change it, play with it, do things after that. It sounds a bit, idealistic, and we know, believe me, we know that teachers are not going to share their own content easily. And they don't. They never do. There's a million OER projects. We can all contribute, and nobody does. So we have a plan in there to stimulate development of content as well. So imagine like a Kickstarter where a teacher gets paid to make content. And that money is sourced from all the other teachers who need the content. So you pay 20 euros. And, we all pay 20 euros. And somebody gets paid 5,000 euros to make a course. And they spend their weekends and their evenings and they make a good course. They get some extra cash. And everyone gets really good content to use. Much easier. So this is the kind of things we can do in MoodleNet. We can also work with NGOs or projects that have funding and they're going to develop some content. We say, yep, put it in here. We work with all the OER repositories. We make them searchable. They're all connected as well. So it's one place to find all that education content. Now, we're building this not as one central system because, as we know, central systems are not strong, right? They're not susceptible. They are susceptible to companies disappearing or Facebook problems, etc. So this is a federated system. So if your university wants to run a node that your teachers connect to, or maybe you're part of a consortium of 5 universities and you all want to just connect together and have groups in there, in Italian, great. You can hit a switch And that can now be connected with all the world in a node, in a network, so that you can search from, there'll be a central search engine, you can search all the instances very quickly. So that's the basic design. I hope that makes some sense. The first beta of this will be in January. There is a beta test. We have some servers going, and you're very welcome to join. The mobile interface is very good and modern. It looks like this because most of the time you're not going to be using your computer. As a teacher, you're going to be on this, right? You know, you're in the bus. Instead of looking at Facebook and pictures of stupid stuff, you're looking at stuff that's relevant to your job. You go, oh, that's cool. I like that. That's a nice video. You go, share to my course. Click. Now it's on your course. And you're using this device, what it's good for, and you can use the computer for what it's good for. So the mobile interface is very important too. Everything's going to be open on the web, so when you even if you're Googling, if you're in Google and you're looking for a subject, we want MoodleNet groups to come up in the search, like you find Wikipedia pages. You know, Wikipedia pages are usually very high. So I think over time, if we really make this work, we can do the same. Learn Moodle. I'm probably running out of time, but let's see. Learn Moodle. So this is, quickly, something we've been working on for 1 year. It will be available soon. It's a new curriculum for learning how to teach online. 22 competencies. It's not Moodle tools. It's how to be a good teacher. It's about pedagogy. It's about professional development. It includes, how you do assessment, how you stimulate collaborative learning, how do you personalize learning, how do you integrate your community into your course, things like that. It's not even necessarily about Moodle, it's just about being an online teacher. It uses Moodle as the examples. It's lined, the 22 modules are 22 competencies that are aligned with a European standard called DigCompEdu, Digital Competencies for Education. So there are 22 competencies in this framework, and our course is aligned to them. That's going to be available via Moodle partners early next year. It's still being finished. We're doing a lot of work on it right now. There are 22 courses, but you don't have to take them all to get a certification. There are 6 key core courses, and if you take these 6 and you get badges for each one and you get the portfolio, you can submit them to Moodle headquarters and get a certification. And this is a much higher level certification than what we had previously. We had the MCCC. That was much more about Moodle features, Moodle tools. That's different. This is much more of a teaching thing. And I'm already talking with some universities to have this curriculum as part of a bachelor degree, a bachelor in computer engineering for education. So it's half computer engineering, half pedagogy and online teaching, and that's the kind of person I want to hire to be a developer at Moodle, right? I want those sort of people. So it's very exciting, this new curriculum. MoodleMoots, we're at one. There are roughly 20 MoodleMoots that are regularly happening around the world. All those white dots, they're not even accurate anymore, actually. There was one in South Africa recently. The orange ones, the orange dots, imagine they're Moodle parties. So we have this concept coming of a very small gathering, like a Moodle user group. Remember user groups? And in some countries they have this. In Germany, in Berlin, there is one every month. There's about 15 people. They come together in a bar, and they drink for 2 hours, and they talk about Moodle stuff. And it's just like a regular Moodle meeting. And we want to make those we want to have a site where you can find them, a bit like meetup.com, but, just there could be one in Milan. Somebody wants to set one up. And then you get listed and people can find it. And there's always somewhere where you can go. That's a picture of the French MoodleMoot, the Francophone MoodleMoot. It was in Belgium recently. It's probably one of the most evolved Moodle conferences because it's been running for 10 years or something, and they have a very formal way of running it, and they really make it a very good experience. But we have a new thing. So Moodle is launching a new conference that's not just about Moodle, it's about open education technology. So we're bringing all of the, and there's a website, openedtech.global, at the top there. You can already sign up just your interest, just to put your interest in right now, because we're trying to get the numbers right, and we're booking venues. It's in about a year in Barcelona. It's going to be every year in Barcelona. And it's a place for the leaders and the developers of open education technology. So companies like Nextcloud, or Big Blue Button, or Mahara, or Koha for libraries, and all the other pieces that you need to run a whole institution on open education technology. I want all those people to come, and a lot of them are coming. We have Cable Green is the director of Creative Commons. He's coming as a speaker. The Open Education Consortium are going to help us run this too. And I'm just getting all of the people who are interested in the technology part of open education. So it's not just OERs. Usually open education, they're talking about open resources. But this is the technology side. We're also going to have a lot of development organisations there. I want UNESCO there and World Bank there. I want them all to see and meet all of the people who are making the stuff and put money into developing that stuff and improving it for everybody. There will also be, I think, some people coming from like ministries of education. I want them to come and see and meet everybody and understand what this is about, what we're talking about here, this open infrastructure. This conference is happening in the same week with there's a global MoodleMoot. So there'll be a MoodleMoot global. Eventually, I think after next year, what I would like to see is every MoodleMoot that happens, we keep some budget for the best presentation, the best paper. That person gets a free trip to Barcelona, to the global MoodleMoot, and they can do the presentation to everybody. And we have everybody from around the world in one place, in a big event there in Barcelona. So that will be happening, and then next to it, the Open EdTech Global. I think it's a good reason to come to Barcelona next November, so, put it in your diaries. And I just want to finish that I think what we should be all concentrating on in our activities is this. Like, we should be trying to think, how can we produce a generation of people who are like that? Because that's what's going to make the world a better place as we go forward. And that's me today, this morning. Thank you. I don't know if we have any time for questions, do we? Couple? Two? Anybody have a burning question? I'm here all 2 days, tomorrow as well. So catch me if you want to talk. But also I think I have a little session this afternoon. We're going to have a brainstorm about Moodle features.
Thank you very much.
Okay, grazie.
Thank you for the many inputs. I hope there will be time to discuss with you in the following days. Grazie a tutti, facciamo un piccolo break e poi si riprende tra una ventina di minuti.